it really is about getting noticed on the show floor. So it's not just setting up easy, but what's the message? How do you be more strategic? How do you target and talk to those business opportunities maybe ahead of time? Let them know you're going to be there. Give them a reason to come see you. How do you make a great paycheck today if you're in exhibit sales?
Strong companies, lasting partnerships, powerful events. Welcome to the Experience Builders Podcast.
Chris, I think this will be a fun topic for a lot of our listeners.
Yes. So maybe even a little sobering for some of them, maybe.
Yeah. You talk to a lot of them, and sales we have a lot of sales listeners, don't we?
We do have a lot of sales listeners.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
So you started out in sales. Let's go back to the heyday of Chris Griffin getting in the car and driving cross country. Let's hear it.
I didn't know where you were going with Heyday. I was picturing buckboard, horse. How far back were you? Anyway, yeah. So talking with some friends over the holiday weekend recently, we were talking about salespeople, particularly exhibit sales professionals. You know, most of the Experience Builders listeners, as you know, are trade show and exhibit professionals. So some of the owners and I were talking, when we were starting off selling, and most of us repped some kind of a, pre-engineered exhibit system. But you could, we were all straight commission guys and girls. And we were, if you did the right stuff, you were making money 3 months into the game and you could make a sustainable, really a great living. So, when cold calling was the primary way of doing business, we realized to be successful, it was all about your activity. If your sales activity was there in the right 3 areas, you just knew your sales results were going to be there, and that hits your paycheck. So for those that are, fairly new to the industry, three levels of activity were how many calls a day were you making? So cold calls, developmental calls, but how many calls to businesses were you making a day? How many appointments a week were you setting? And then ultimately, how many face-to-face appointments did you have each week? It was some combination of those 3, Khalil. So if a busy day on the phones was I could make 200 cold calls in a day, just whipping through directories or show books or whatever it was, I wasn't seeing very many people. But if I was able to set 6 or 8 appointments over the next few weeks, to go see somebody or to invite them into a showroom. And then if I actually, I might only have 2 appointments that week to see people. If I had 6 or 8 appointments, I obviously wasn't making very many calls. So it was really about the ratio of those 3 things. You could set your watch by making 6-figure income if you just stayed disciplined in those 3 areas. So we started thinking about what it is today. And I guess the big, it's not really a spoiler alert. I think most successful sales professionals know this in our industry. We're not selling stuff anymore, right? We're not selling exhibits. Everybody's learned that the brands are looking when they participate in trade shows, exhibitions, user conferences. They're looking for some sales results of some kind, filling pipeline, generating X amount of qualified leads. Maybe it's seeing your customers and making deposits in those relationships. But all of those things are much more strategic. It takes a lot more creativity in your messaging and where and how you're meeting them and engaging with them. So, by the way, we were also, back when I started, we were all straight commission salespeople. I don't know if that exists anymore, Khalil, because it's so difficult. I've got some data that we've looked at recently about what it takes to be successful just cold calling. So Dan McLean, one of the principals at Trade Show Displays, who's a partner of ours, came from the world of the robocalls and the software that does that. And he said in our industry, the trade show exhibit sales world, it takes 600 dials to get through to 20 live people. And out of those 20 live people, typically you'll end up with 2 appointments to have some kind of a discovery call or get a pitch in. So, you think about the return on your time and the investment in the software or the tools needed to be successful at, just not sure that's the best use of our time. So surveys have shown,
Yeah.
talking with the owners, I've shown Khalil, um, it's just most people are turning away from it. What's your experience
What
with the companies you're coaching? Are you hearing any different results?
I think for most people, they're having to bring leads. Like, we're probably in the construction space, and you're used to kind of this um, full life cycle salesperson who kind of manages the project as well. And more, it's those people are basically kind of spinning up their own businesses because they can kind of do almost everything. Now they don't realize how high the overhead costs are of running the business, and so sometimes they come back. But um, for the most part, you're having to divide up responsibilities a bit more, and having a purely sales focused individual and a purely project management focused individual to in order to find success.
Yeah.
Um, Finding a lot better luck with younger salespeople in construction that are just willing to do the grind work. Some of the older ones have kind of shifted more towards that project management side. It depends on the industry too. Like roofing is a little bit different here in my neck of the woods, at least. Just doing a lot of door knocking and stuff like that. On the remodel side, yeah, you can still find older sales
Can I
professionals, but
ask you,
it's the younger.
can I
Yeah.
ask you the younger people that you're hearing or your clients are
Hmm.
hiring? This led to a discussion yesterday with some about a younger generation and their willingness to accept delayed gratification. So, in other words,
Hmm.
and vis-a-vis the commission type thing, and it's going to take
Hmm.
some time. I'm assuming these are more salary positions they're hiring. Is there any incentive for success if they're setting
Yeah,
appointments or making a sale?
definitely incentives. I think they do. Most are getting a good base, but the incentives are everything. I think um, kind of how some people have done it in terms of like roofing, for example. They're getting paid per appointment scheduled. Uh, so they're basically telling the project manager you've been done the sales before, who doesn't want to knock doors anymore.
Yeah,
They're saying, hey, we're going to bring you really warm appointments, and we just need you to close the appointment
yeah,
and then manage the project.
yeah.
But you don't need to do prospecting. You don't need to go and talk to 60 people a day or whatever it is. And so these young people, if they can get an appointment scheduled, um, then they're getting incentives based on that. And on a few of them, they have some sort of base to start, but once they're going, it's purely based on appointment. So
And I'm assuming
yeah,
that's a qualified appointment, right? There's some training that goes in to
correct.
understand what that is because
Yep.
yeah, it's funny. We still get some salespeople in our offices just to walk in off the street, and it's freight, it's accounting services, it's whatever, and they literally come in and we go, we don't have any need, and if we shut it down quickly, they're like, well, can I get a business card? And I get that they're probably being paid on how many business cards they come back with to prove they've been out, but that's not really a lead, right? That's just a business card.
No, it's not.
So
No, and I think for most people, referrals are the best customers.
yes, for sure.
And so I see a lot of the companies we are working with, we're implementing referral programs with, where it's highly incentivizing. Instead of pouring money into Google Ads, instead of pouring money into a base for a salesperson that you don't know if it's going to work or not, trying to pour money into referrals, into reviews online, to try to get more business that way has been pretty helpful of just really incentivizing. I've seen huge, like the equivalent of a couple $1,000s for a referral
Yeah.
if it's going to lead to a massive remodel project.
Yeah.
Um, so those are really great things to do.
So
But I want to hear from
yeah,
you, Chris. Really take me back to when you were starting. What sales was like? What was your role like?
really the portable and modular side of the trade show exhibit business really was what helped that side of the business just absolutely explode. It was they were products that allowed smaller and even cottage industry companies to to start participating in the trade show game. You didn't need a big traditional custom built exhibit, which was, it was heavy, it was crated, it was hard to set up, it was hard to ship, it was, so when things became more portable and modular, and there was do-it-yourself stuff, but then there was stuff that even you and a professional labor guy or two could set up. It just all of a sudden I got into that industry. A lot of us did as those products were really taking off. And it was just a lovely ride as it just went to a multi-billion-dollar industry, just the exhibit. So very fortunate. The sales cycle was anywhere from 30 to 90 days. Um, you were a straight commission rep, but it was great commission. And you didn't have to wait long. If you were good, you literally could impact your income every single month, not just next month or the month after. So all of that was wonderful, but we weren't thinking about, quite frankly, we weren't thinking about how the brands were going to use them and their success. It really was about, we sold off of the ease and simplicity of an exhibit that went together pretty simply. Then we started to move into, once we got a little more mature, that industry, we got into the idea of design, right? It really is about getting noticed on the show floor. So it's not just setting up easy, but what's the message? And so we hired designers and we started to get more involved in the graphic products, and that was great. Right. And then after that, it became servicing them, right? Because as these small companies became more successful, some of them need a second or third or fourth display. Some of them started to go into 5, 10, 20 shows, and anything that active needs dedicated people to help manage it. So we started to offer storage and managing those assets and the scheduling and all of that. And at some point, an industry just emerged with all of that. And then the next evolution was, well, it's not enough to just be portable and good looking and have the right services wrapped around it to help you be successful. We need to teach you how to do these shows more successfully. Everybody was going and they were showing up and hope they'd get leads. But how do you be more strategic? How do you target and talk to those business opportunities maybe ahead of time? Let them know you're going to be there. Give them a reason to come see you. So that's kind of, Khalil, where the industry is today, where if you're not leading with creative and strategic, both design, an experience of some kind, creating some event. And now, of course, there's all kinds of technology that's coming to help people measure their progress and their success and target people. So that's if you want to win customers today, it's no longer about just selling a good looking booth. You've got to take an interest in helping that end user, that brand be successful. That might mean you become a subject matter expert in the healthcare industry, right? Or a subject matter expert in the tech industry if you're going after the CES type of a customer or the Infocom type of a customer. We've got a great partner of ours. They were an early mover in the gaming industry, and they, tripled their company size off of watching that industry take off with customers like Twitch and Facebook Gaming. I'm talking about my friends at the trade group. And I mean, it was a clinic how to absolutely take over a particular vertical market. So I think the smart sales professionals that are quote, most of us still make the majority of our money whenever there's a new build as part of the solutions that we're providing. But we're not getting the new build if we're not smart enough to help them be successful, a lot of other things, even the things our company doesn't offer. But it's how you build your trust and credibility, with those relationships, those clients. So
let's do a little bit of a scenario here. Like, walk me through, with this new model of thinking about the experience, the end result, rather than just the product itself in terms of sales and exhibits. What does that look like? How is someone targeting these companies and actually winning the new business?
So this is really, we're burying the headline. This is what this discussion's about. How do you make a great paycheck today if you're in
Sure.
exhibit sales. And it really, I think, Khalil, it starts with you've got to prove your worth as a supplier. That is an absolute requirement if a brand's going to pay attention to you. Um, if you're selling
What does that
exhibits,
look like?
well, okay. So if you're selling exhibits, you think it means talking about exhibits. But if, you got to understand, if they're interested in trade show results, and that is filling their sales pipeline, generating a certain amount of qualified leads, helping launch a new product of some kind or a new service, or you're opening a new market. Um, you've got to you've I think you've got to be part ad agency as a sales professional, because you've got to help them come up with a strategy to target and talk to the audience they want, early, and then help them create in that branch office environment, right? We've talked about, treating a booth a lot like a branch office environment. What kind of an event or experience are you looking to deliver to get them in? And then obviously it's got to be something memorable. Hopefully it's got a call to action after the show, right? Where you're going to help them have a reason to that prospect or that customer to come see him and talk to him fairly quickly after the show. So you've got to be in the 90s, right? We used the word, I'm a sales consultant a lot, and it was an overused word. This truly is being a consultant. So you're going to be doing homework. Again, if I am coaching any new people coming into this industry, I would say pick a couple of vertical markets that you're going to go after. The people that are in healthcare and pharmaceuticals, man, those are very particular types of shows with rules and regulations and protocols that don't exist anywhere else. So those of us on the uh, on the face-to-face marketing side, we get really good at learning what those particulars are, so we can be on the team. Right? We can
Mm.
teach them about what we do. We need to learn the rules and regulations they have to operate under. So one, first and foremost, is prove your worth by being a great subject matter expert. I think look at the
Right.
trend, Khalil, right? Digital tools, gamification, memorable brand engagements. This is happening anywhere. The reality is, the people that are making decisions for brands now about events and creating event environments for their company, they're a lot younger than I am. They're even younger than you are. And they look for different things. So what is it that their audience is looking for? Help them understand. Help understand who they are, but also understand who their buyer is and what's the right way to market that. The traditional, almost parochial structure of trade shows, 7 to 10 minute encounters and 200 square feet or 400 square feet. Um, there's a badge and you're scanning it, and all I'm going to do, and then I'm going to follow up after, and I'll send you a literature pack and whatever. It's yesterday's thinking. It's got to be a much more strategic, faster, creative thing. You got to prove to me that you care about my success, right?
Mm.
So I think I want to get in the game and the technology. It starts if you get, so where do you prospect? Is it cold calling? Is it calling out of last year's show book? Is it going to the show and walking around and trying to get noticed? I mean, most exhibit companies and sales professionals in this industry have an exposure problem, right? They've never heard of you or your company. But
Yeah.
if you get one good project at a show, okay, now you've got a reason to be at that show. I was trying to think about analogies, Khalil, and I got these guys. I got a main road near my house. 2, 3 in the morning, I can hear those, tricked out Japanese cars going all night long. The loud, the mufflers, the baffles, they're all souped up, and they like to meet at night, right? It might be in a mall parking lot. But the thing is, once you get the car and it's cool and it's good looking and it's credible, you're allowed to be there. And then you're going to be able to walk around and talk to some people and maybe find out who does the work and what else you can add. you've got some street cred, if you will. Well, it's a little bit like that, right? Because once you've got your first project, if you can get a second project at a show where you're building the booth or handling the marketing program, and then maybe you get a third. Now you've got other exhibitors talking for you. You know what? All the
Yeah.
data still shows, as you know, the third party endorsement still rocks as the number one decision influencer, right? So referrals, networking. I mean, would you agree that's still the holy grail or?
Well, yeah, I mean, it brings a few things to mind. One, in terms of influence, I've just talked to somebody on this. Did you ever read Influence by Robert Cialdini? It's been around for a while, but um, there's 7 principles of influence. If you're going to influence somebody, you have to have them. Uh, and you don't have to have all 7, but there's 7 different ones. And obviously, you can influence by force, right? But not in a sales environment like this. So the first 3 are relational principles. One, reciprocity, right? Like
Okay.
I do something for you, you feel
Yeah.
obligated to do something back for me, right?
Yeah.
Liking, just being someone that's enjoyable to be around. Maybe that means that you're funny, and so I like you, and I'm influenced by that, right? Which is a lot of the relational things that allow you to sell, or because you take people to the golf course, so that's reciprocity. They feel like, oh, well, I should go out too. But then you tell jokes and you amp them
Yeah.
up, and wow, I really like being
That gets
around him.
me
He's
by in a
interested
lot
in
of
me.
places.
Exactly.
Gets me kicked out
A-
of a few, but
And then the last relational one is unity. We're on the same team, right? So, it's the same reason why whenever you're out of the country and we're both from the East Coast. It means a lot when we're sitting in, I don't know, Morocco or something like that. You meet someone from the East Coast and you're
yeah.
from the East Coast. That's wow, this is crazy. Like we're best friends now. We're on the same team. But if we were if we were sitting in New York, we would have nothing to do with each other, because there's too many people from the East Coast, right?
No,
But
and
if we
by the
can
way,
find a way to
I
find
love
commonality,
I love the unity, and I would also argue in a business environment or making business connections, the unity is less about geography, and it is
oh
about
yeah,
your street. You know what? Let's not be unified in something that's important to you, the salesperson, right? It's got to be important to
hmm
me, the customer. So if I get that you understand my business, if I get that you understand marketing and how to help me succeed in this, let's be honest, it's kind of a unique and unnatural environment, when you go to shows. Absolutely agree that, but that's what we're looking for. Like you said, you give,
yeah,
this, that, you've heard me talk about, for me, I'm looking to make 4 deposits in a relationship before I ask for a withdrawal. And
mm,
that's what it is. You want that person to feel like they're getting something more.
yeah.
It came up, Khalil. So where do in this much different environment than I grew up selling in, where do you find the business? Where do you go hunt and look for it? And so what I heard from owners and professionals today is, um, it's no longer banner ads on websites.
Mhm.
It's no longer Google pay-per-click ads per se. It's really, this has become about marketing and exposure. So where am I need to, beef up my website. That's my digital footprint. I need to look credible. If I meet somebody and direct them there, or if they stumble on it because I'm putting it out there in certain
Yeah.
ways. But here's what came up yesterday. Tell me if you would agree with this. So a lot of the playbook today is, hey man, let's beef up our website and let's prospect for business people that do shows, events in a place like LinkedIn. And so how do how do I put the right messaging at the right intersections to those targeted, you know, defined groups, and how do I find them? So there's that going on. And so this was brought up to me yesterday. The comment was made, LinkedIn isn't the same place it was, Chris, that you and I were prospecting 10 years ago. And I think the comment they were making is there's, I'm making up a word here, there's a Facebookification that's been happening on LinkedIn. What used to be a very strict, rigid, serious business people showed up and you only talked about serious business things. And as people are looking to get noticed and cut through the clutter and to stand out and to humanize who they are and be likable, to your point, we're seeing a lot more effort put into the personalization of those individuals, and to the point where this is a longstanding debate, and I've had it with some of my friends on LinkedIn where, I agree with you. I want to know who you are. I'll like you more. But is there a chance you cross too far over? And I no longer see you as a business resource. I just see you as that girl who's constantly posting her travel trips on beaches and whatever you're showing. And I'm not seeing you anymore as the business ally that you want me to see you as. Is that a real concern, do you think? Or was I just in with a couple
Yeah.
OGs?
No, it's channel saturation would be the technical term, that
Channel
channels get
saturate.
saturated.
Writing that down. Channel
Yeah.
saturation.
And so at the same time, like ultimately you want to be where people are and you want to get their attention. So if your target audience is legitimately on LinkedIn, you want to get their attention, but you don't want to do it in a way that isn't, you don't want to do it in a way that comes off as not native to the channel, right? So you want to find a way to be native to the channel. So if you're inside of LinkedIn and you are just direct messaging people, hey, let's do a booth together, whatever it is, that's not native. That's not how people act naturally inside that channel. The way they act naturally in that channel is that they scroll through LinkedIn, they look inside their feed, they engage with posts that are interesting to them. Maybe it's company announcements or someone got hired or celebrating an anniversary, sure, but you don't have a bunch of announcements and all this kind of stuff to share. They are also engaging with industry specific people that share content specific to the industry, that are authentic, that are
Interesting.
real,
Yeah.
that share problems, that share successes, that share processes, that share insights. And so if you're doing those things in the channel, then people will natively interact with you. And it's kind of like you mentioned your 4 deposits before getting an ask. You should be depositing constantly in a native way to a channel before then asking for a withdrawal. Maybe it is at that point sharing a direct message. Hey, Chris, I've noticed that you engage with my content several times. Thanks for following what I do and engaging with it. It's great to connect, and letting it come from happen from there. But if you're being more aggressive than that, it can work. It just you could also ruin things.
So I think let's stick with LinkedIn for a minute. I think I read over 1 billion users now worldwide for LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's
Is
how
there,
many of that is bots or spam? I don't know.
is there,
I think,
I was going to say, so I imagine the algorithms right now are in LinkedIn. I never thought of them in LinkedIn. I've got,
yeah,
but they are, right? So,
yeah,
it's now I tend to, the community that I work in and a lot of professional friends are in, it seems like, that comment that was made to me yesterday about sort of the Facebookification, and I don't know I'm sure you could come
mhm,
up with a better way to say that, but it's where the algorithms are dictating. I don't know if it's the content as much it is how communication is happening there because, if people love pets, right? So if you show your pets, is that gonna get you more eyeballs on that? People like, I don't know, whatever it is. Is there some other technology rule that's picking, what's going on or driving behavior that is, there is, I'll go back to when there was 100 million people on LinkedIn. I could put a post out to my network and I got really great, meaningful content about whatever I was asking about back. And I get a lot of unsolicited stuff now that doesn't have anything to do with what I might be interested in. So,
yeah. So a few things. One, the algorithm matters, but don't don't sit there and think that you're doomed because the algorithm changed or whatever it is. And I would even say if the algorithm's your focus, you're doing it wrong. At the end of the day, being native to the channel is the most important thing. One, stick to industry stuff. Don't start following people that aren't in your industry. Don't start, you know, interacting with a bunch of stuff that's like not in your industry. But find people that are in the trade show and exhibit world and connect with them and then engage with them.
Yeah.
What do I mean by engage? If you're just posting once a week and thinking that you're going to get traction, you're not doing it right. You need to go find people that are posting in the industry already and you start commenting on their stuff, liking their stuff, and making it authentic. Don't just say cool post, but like asking questions, truly giving insights, sharing your memories and stories of the similar topic, what your opinion is. um, that's what's going to really help engagement. And when you, without fault, when you start engaging with other people's stuff, the algorithm is then going to show you more of the stuff that you engage with.
Well, and so
Right.
it is, and I want to be careful here because, we've talked about this before on LinkedIn, right? And so
Sure.
I mean, we're
Sure.
talking about how do you make a great paycheck selling exhibits, or if you're an exhibit sales professional. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is worth spending a few minutes on because I think so many people, so many sales professionals are looking to find that audience that they want to connect and talk to. And I think
Yeah.
LinkedIn is an obvious place. I think the
So,
show floor is another obvious place, but I'll be honest, I don't
mhm.
see anywhere near the amount of people I would expect out on the show floor. There is a written rule about, and you are frowned upon and will be walked off the show floor if you're prospecting openly on the show floor, right? But which is why
Yeah.
it's such a great thing. I think if you get that first client, that project at a show, you have every right to be there. It doesn't mean you have every right to start passing your business cards out to everybody. But man, you walk a show floor on the last day of move-in, or even the last day of the show, or the day the show is breaking down, you're gonna find some people that are disappointed with their results, and it's not hard to get conversations going with that group. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, if this is I mentioned Influence by Robert Cialdini earlier, and I think we can do this with LinkedIn for a salesperson. If you wanted to make a paycheck, if you wanted to start generating new business and prospects through LinkedIn, this is the way that I would recommend it, right? So there's 7 principles. We already covered 3: reciprocity, liking, unity. I'm going to go through the other 4: social proof. And these 2 are uncertainty principles. So if someone's uncertain about using you, you give them social proof. Others like us also use you or also do what you're doing is what you want them to say, right? So if we're using Crew XP, for example, oh yeah, like I see other people are also using Crew XP that, my peers are also using them. That would be social proof. Authority, they have greater knowledge than us, right? Is what you want to convey there, right? And so if I'm uncertain, I'm going to trust an expert. Then the last 2 are motivational. So consistency is the 6th one. It's consistent within themselves. Yes, I said I was going to have a more engaged exhibit this next year. Like I told myself when we were at the show that we were going to do a better job and invest more into our booth at next year's trade show. Well, if you're talking about that, that's consistent within themselves, right? And then scarcity is the last one. You want more when you can't have it. Oh wow, Crew XP is only taking on 2 new clients this quarter. Um, there would be one. Or man, if I want to get it done before the show before the show, if I want to change my partner, then I've got to do it before September because that's the last time I can get in, right? So you have these principles. So if I'm on LinkedIn, I'm a salesperson. Here's some things that I would do. Hey, I know a lot of people struggle to um, come up with a realistic budget for their end-to-end trade show experience, from the people to the booth design to the booth setup itself to the follow-up and the software, everything. I've actually created a all-encompassing calculator for anybody to use for free, putting it out on LinkedIn. That's going to give me some reciprocity. I gave out this free tool, no collecting emails or anything like that. Here it is, right? And you can do more things like that. That would be a really good thing for a salesperson to post on LinkedIn for the industry. Liking. What about making a post about trade show horror stories? Hey, everybody in the industry. I was recently talking to someone about horror stories in the industry, and I thought that other people had more to share. Here's one for everybody to enjoy. But in the comments, leave one of your horror stories from a trade show, or what's the craziest thing you've ever seen, right? So now you're creating something where, man, I like this guy. He's sharing funny stories, but he collected all these really cool ones. I'm liking it, right? Memes, humor about the trade show industry, that would get people to like you. Unity, we're on the same team. Chris, you do a lot of this where you're doing stuff at on Capitol Hill, right? For pushing the industry forward, especially during COVID and keeping us alive, right? Talking about the industry as a whole and a we mentality that shows that we're on the same team. But then if you're talking about your target audience, it's that, hey, we're here to get results, not just to build a booth, right? Like that kind of stuff gets people on the same team, championing their goals. Social proof. Here's someone we just helped. Here's what they were dealing with before. Here's what they're doing now. Here's a testimonial. Here's a case study. Here's a video of them talking about how great we are, right? That's the kind of post that you can make. Authority, showing that you have expert knowledge in this. Taking an FAQ, a really good one on this is Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer. Take every question that you've ever gotten from a prospect, turn it into an answer, post it on your LinkedIn. It's going to show that you're an expert in what you do, right?
Yeah. We've talked about that's great.
Two more. Consistency within yourselves. Take a look at all the man, I wish I would have done this year. Like everything you hear from your prospects about like, man, the show didn't go like this because of this. And then turn that into a post of, at last year's trade show, you said this. Now is the time to go do it. And you're going to hit into consistency with themselves, where they promised themselves they were going to do something differently. And if you can hit on that, you can get there. So you see a lot of types of posts from companies about this around the new year. Last year was the year you were going to shed the weight. Let's make it this year. Buy the gym membership. Something along those lines, but for your industry specifically. And then lastly, scarcity. You can create scarcities in a lot of ways, right? At the end of each quarter is a really great time. I mean, you can say, hey, I'm trying to hit my goal for the year, offering a special offer this time of year that if you want to talk, I'll do a free whatever of your booth.
Yeah.
And you create, but only for the first 3 people or something along those lines. Yeah. So those are some great things that a salesperson could be doing on LinkedIn to generate that, demand for their product, for their service.
I love it.
In the trade show industry.
So this is great stuff, Cliff. So I want to just maybe to try and wrap up here. I'm combining some of what I've talked about and what you talked about. So these are the 5 things I just wrote down. We're talking to the sales professionals in the trade show exhibit selling lane. And how are you going to be successful in today's market as fast as it is, as 360-degree focused as it is. So number 1, I think you got to play the long game, right? And that's typically what happens with relationships, was the second thing. Long game is go for the relationships. Once you have those relationships, man, they'll stick with you. They really will. You don't have to go out and look for new business every year. The business will be chasing you. So that's it. Focus on, and by the way, how do you focus on strengthening those relationships early on? I would recommend you're talking about programs to help them be successful. You're not talking about specific products and services, but a collection of those things that's going to help, that you're going to wrap in a program to help them use to be successful with whatever they want. You've heard me quote the 1-minute manager. I'm a huge Ken Blanchard and Dr. Spencer Johnson fan. Have more fun, enjoy more financial success, stop trying to get what I want, start helping other people get what I want. Number 3, and this is to your point, I think become a subject matter expert. You already are on events, so you bring that to the table. You already are on face-to-face marketing, and the unique way that happens. Become an expert on their industry. Learn more specific about the sports, hunting, and outdoor industry, if the SHOT Show is what you're going to be targeting. Learn more about technology if you want to do the Infocom show and the CES show, and learn more about construction if you want the Builders show and the Recon show to be where you're going to be focused. So their industry, Learn as much as you can about that. Learn about their company if you want to do business with them, right? And what do I mean by that? What are their offerings? Who's their target audience? What are the kind of people they want to do business with? Is it CEOs? Is it tech people? Is it operations efficiencies you'll bring? Is price your sales strategy and you need procurement people? So who's the target audience that your customer's trying to reach, and learn about those people? And ultimately it's the messaging. What is your client's messaging that they're taking to their marketing campaigns? The fourth thing is, it's my philosophy about deposits and withdrawals. Always make sure you're putting more into the relationship for your asking than you're asking to take out. But don't forget to ask to take something out, right? In other words, at some point, look, I'd love an opportunity to help you with this upcoming event. Is there a chance I can do that?
Yeah.
That's only going to be great if I've already established credibility and helped them in other ways. Fifth thing is, I suggest lean into the vertical markets that you already have some clients at. Okay, you're already there. You already know something about it. It's your opportunity to go to the show and you can prospect more if you've already got a well-known brand name or an up-and-coming brand that you're working with. So I would say lean into that. Or if you're not just leaning into the vertical, maybe you're going to lean into a geographic market because you have something unique or that's a big advantage. You know my story, Khalil, right? We lean into Las Vegas and into Orlando because we made huge investments in those venue cities because that gives us a lot of opportunity with different verticals because everybody needs a lifeline in a strange trade show city. So if you're new to sales or you've just transferred in from another industry, this is what I'd be doing to lay the foundation to give myself an annuity income and ultimately a great income. It's going to support me and my family for years to come. So that's my
think about it like customers for life.
Customers for life.
That's what you're trying to build.
Yeah. If we're out there just selling a 20 by 30 rental booth for an upcoming show, and it could even be a great looking booth, but if it's based on the price or you're not establishing a deeper relationship beyond that thing you're delivering, you're going to be bidding for that project every single year. Right. And you're just going to be working harder. It's never harder than working for that very first transaction with a customer. You want to keep that relationship and have them chasing you and trusting you and take the competitive element out of it. If you do a great job and you can add all this other value we're talking about, I'm telling you, this gets fun and it's a very, very lucrative industry. So that's how I'd be coaching anybody that's wanting to. You're either frustrated with cold calling or you're not making it because you're in a straight commission and you're doing sort of the traditional things that you just find are not as effective anymore. I think there's a ton of stuff we just talked about that could help improve your results. So
yeah, great stuff. Thanks again, Chris.
Yeah,
I think this is a
thanks for unpacking
interesting conversation. We'd love to hear other people's thoughts. So yeah, let us know.
Amen.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Experience Builders podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content. Visit our website at crewxp.com to learn more about us. See you in the next one.